Benvenuti alla mostra alla Orazio Salati. I'm displaying my limited Italian here because Orazio is originally from Italian, and it's our great honor to be here in Binghamton at the Roberson with Orazio Salati, a local artist and a force in the local and regional art scene for many years. And it's his retrospective exhibit here at the Roberson, and it's called Uncovering the Surface, and it's a wonderful exhibit. How many pieces in the show, Orazio?
I'm going to say 77 pieces. A few pieces could not be, because of space, could not be hung, but about 77 pieces.
Oh, great. Well, that's a wonderful exhibit. We're going to walk through it here in a little while, but maybe give us an overview of how the show came into being, and the work that's included, what the various mediums are.
Well, the show started, the conversation about 2.5 years ago, and at that time I didn't have a lot of pieces to exhibit, so I got kind of panicked for a couple of minutes, and we decided that why not try to get my collectors to donate the pieces and have the majority of the show a retrospective. So I was able to purchase pieces from going back from 1975 to my latest piece, which was August of 2025.
Wow, so it's a 50-year span.
Yeah. And there's a variety of, there's some fiber work and acrylic and oils and a variety of different mediums.
And maybe explain a little bit about your one of your primary mediums, which was kind of new to me. I know in caustic, and I think many people know in caustic, that you combine it with tar and other things, and you do them on panel, which is quite unusual, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. But you know, we artists kind of come up with different ideas and unique things to create with. But you know, caustic is ancient. It's not something new with oil and wax combined.
Back to ancient Egypt.
Yeah, absolutely. And normally you buy little cubes of oil and wax already mixed, and you melt them in a pan and you paint with them. My technique is a little bit different. I just take oil paint and Dorland's wax and actually mix it myself. About 30, 70, 30, 50, depending on the amount of paint I want to use. And my basic approach is I put tar on my wood panels first, at random, not really knowing what I'm doing. I just put them in different places, and I do leave parts of the wood exposed. Let it dry for a couple months, and then I take my paint and with sponges and spatulas and fingers and wags, whatever I have, no brushes. I start painting, and it's layers, and then you use a heat source, because you have to bind the wax with the paint. My heat source is a blowtorch, because I'm using the tar, and I need more heat. And the more heat I use, the tar starts to bubble underneath the colors, and it creates textures and crevices, all those great things that I love. And so basically that's my approach the last 12, 15 years of my career. Earlier I was more into acrylic and just plain oil painting.
Okay. Maybe explain a little about your involvement in the art community. Orazio has a gallery downtown called the Orazio Salati Gallery on State Street. I had an exhibit there about 15 years ago, and he's been a wonderful force in the art community for 25 years. You've had your gallery.
Right. Yeah,
and Orazio was also well known as an art educator. He taught at the local high school. Which one was it?
Union Education.
Okay. You were there for how many years?
33-ish years, and then I taught at Keeler College.
Oh, okay.
Painting, and then I was adjunct at Broome Community College.
Which one?
Broome Community
Oh,
College.
okay.
So, you know, very involved in the education.
Yeah. Okay, and maybe about the title. Explain about the title.
Well, you know, we have different aspects of who we are, and in trying to put this show together, I was noticing the different periods I was creating in, and the different periods of my own personal life, my own personal experiences, and I thought the show would be combination of creating and also uncovering layers of my creativity as well as my personal. And so I decided to call it Uncover the Surface. And it's almost like, as I look at my work from the beginning to my latest piece, it's almost like peeling layers off of myself until my final layer, which is me right now, and this is who I am.
Yeah, there's a great word that describes this that I like to kind of bandy about. It's called palimpsest. I know about it because it's the title of a book that I recently read, but it's an ancient word related to manuscripts. It means layer upon layer. They would have one layer of type, and then it would be scraped off, and then it would reveal other layers of the text underneath. So I just thought I'd mention that because it seems to apply to the title of the show. As we're talking here, I'm looking at these three wonderful pieces. Maybe we could start over there because they're incredibly beautiful. I'm attracted to the color of these pieces. So maybe explain about this trio here.
Okay. That piece is by itself. That piece is a diptych.
Okay.
It's usually hung closer together, but Peter and Roberto here at the museum, they're phenomenal.
Peter Klosky.
Yes. And Roberto, they felt it just needed a bit more space, which was great. And even this piece here, you can put it closer together, further apart. Nice thing about diptychs, you can separate them to occupy more of the wall space.
And what's the medium of these two?
All these three are oil, wax, and tar.
Oh, beautiful. The color is just incredible.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So, I began, like I said, with the tar, and you can see in some areas where some of the tar might be exposed a little bit, even in those bottom pieces there, where I don't cover the tar as much as I normally do. But what the tar and what the color does, when you put color over tar and you start torching it, there's a little bit of discoloration from the color. The color is impure. And feeling this, and even getting closer, all the textures that I get from torching, the more torching you do, the more bubbles you get. Let it dry a bit, and those bubbles are permanent. And then I go into the pieces with I say a very expensive tool, a nail. You go to the local, hardware store, and I have some spikes about this long and smaller, and I go into it, almost trying to create almost a graphite line, but it's the tar that comes through. Wow. And that creates the line. And so, and a lot of, it's graffiti, I do a lot of things with pressing in and taking away and scratching and all this natural stuff from torching, which I just love, which is almost like a continuation of my weavings that I did in my earlier career.
A nice connection between the weavings in these pieces.
Absolutely.
How about the panels themselves? Do they have to be prepared in any particular way?
They're wood panels, which I get at Dick Blick. Sometimes I will gesso it with encaustic gesso. But lately I haven't been doing that.
Okay.
It's not necessary.
Just work right on the raw wood?
I go right on with the tar.
Okay.
And then I start painting on it. Now these two pieces are interesting because they suspend off the wall.
Oh yeah.
And normally the boards have a cradle on the side. I decided to eliminate the cradle, put the cradle on the inside. So it sits off from the wall.
Nice.
Yes, there is a thickness in the wood, although otherwise I'll have something to paint on. But so I have that, and it just suspends, which kind of just gives another dimension. It's something I've seen on occasion in some of the galleries, and I just thought, why not try it? So some of my pieces have that, kind of a more 3D quality to it.
Before we started, Orazio said that none of the pieces in the show are of Italy, but that's one of my interests in Orazio's because I've been going to Italy for 30 years, and Orazio's from this little town south of Rome in Lazio.
Lazio, the town, the paese si chiama Arnada, which is a province of Frosinone, which is about 40-ish minutes, like from here to Corwin.
Okay.
Not that far from Rome.
But the Italian sensibility must have come into your work because you spent your first 7 years in Italy,
Yeah.
and you sort of absorbed it.
And then I went back and studied at the University of Siena.
Okay.
And the National Art School there. But even though these are not Italian images, I think some of the colors gives the essence of the landscape, the greens and some of the colors and the trees and walking into the wildlife of the Italian landscape.
Yeah.
Even though the imagery is not necessarily Italian.
Okay. We're going to.
And also, even some of my titles are Italian.
Okay. Eccellente. We're going to walk into the main part of the gallery, but before we go in, let's take a look at your self-portrait here. It's like it's maybe a photograph or done from a photograph, or explain about that.
Well, part of my career, I for a short period, I did a process which was called photo picture, which is a French term for using photography with painting. And it was very popular in the 1800s in the salons of Paris, where photography was granted, and artists were kind of grasping it and collaging it and doing a variety of things with it. Kind of died out. It was never really an art movement. So I had all these photographs that I had laying around from my models and landscapes that I decided, let me just take that process and do my own thing with it. So yes, this is a photograph, and what I did was I painted the photograph and added pieces around the photograph to kind of camouflage it, so you don't notice it's a photograph, but as you get closer you'll see there might be a slight line. So it's just my interpretation of that process that did very well. I mean, I was showing these in New York City galleries in Florida, and I only have like 1 or 2 left.
What era is this from?
This is late 90s, I'm going to say.
Beautiful piece.
I don't even, yeah, this is 1999, it says on there. So, and again, this relates to my work, peeling and uncovering the layers. And we have a little bit of the dark side of us as well as the light.
Yeah.
And there's that yin and yang balance that we need.
I also think of in terms of the chiaroscuro of it, like a Caravaggio and Leonardo.
Chiaroscuro, see,
Uh-huh.
I can see that.
So we just saw a show of Caravaggio in Rome, so thinking about chiaroscuro. Well, let's go into the main part of the gallery. So if you'll follow us in there, we won't be able to do the whole show, but we'll let Orazio select what he would like.
Well, maybe we can start from the beginning. I'll use the word beginning, where I was a fiber artist, and when I went to Buffalo State to get my art degree, I took a class my senior year. I was a painter more or less before that, and of course in the University of Siena and the National Art School, I took painting as a major. But when I came back, I decided I'm going to take this fibers class. I didn't know exactly what the fibers course was about, but it basically blew me away that artists can read, see, and understand textures and colors and in a whole different format of fibers and yarns and creating fabric on looms. So I was really taken by that concept. So after I graduated, I started my, I'll use the word art career, along with my teaching. And my first pieces were textiles in the sense that trapunto, stitchery, applique, and this was going back to 1975. And I was doing all these outdoor shows, craft shows in the area and outside the region. And I did very well, like none of these I own. I don't know how many of these weavings. I don't even know where they are because I was not a good record keeper back then. These were by chance, by conversation. If someone said, well, do you want to use my weaving? I says, you want one of my weavings? Yes. So that's why these are in the show. Otherwise, I didn't have anything to do.
Let's talk about the Native American influence, because as per our conversation yesterday, this is a crucial and essential part of your work, correct?
Yes, it began really my painting career. Again, I was a weaver all this time. And I had a personal experience that took me to painting. And the personal experience is a little bit in depth. I don't want to really get into it much, but it was dealing with a physical manifestation of vertigo. And I seeked help, and I found a regression therapist that helped me through the period of when did I get the vertigo, what happened. And it turns out that at that time, I was talking about painting and painting and painting, but yet I was weaving. So I decided, let me start painting again. And I started painting, which was kind of bizarre. It was Native American images and, of course, the Native American massacre. And the regression therapist was writing a book, and I didn't realize it, but I was illustrating it. And it wasn't until this third panel, I worked from right to left, this third panel, that she realized that you were illustrating a book that I've been trying to put together, which was kind of weird and bizarre.
And who was the author again?
Janet Cunningham, PhD, regression therapist.
Okay.
And so...
This is a 4-panel piece here?
It's a 4-panel piece. It's 22 feet long by 7 feet, I think.
And it's acrylic?
It's all in acrylic.
Uh-huh.
I was working in acrylic back then. And it's the actual massacre going into the spirit world. And supposedly, I was in the spirit world helping the spirits cross over during all those regression sessions that I had. And then I had to do some characters in the book, which was White Fawn, which is the cover of the book. And I kind of consider her as a Pietelle. She's pregnant with a child when she was killed. And she was the healer of the tribe, and I gave her this Eastern kind of energy with a third eye and the spirits around her. And then, of course, there's another character running there on that side. But here I have Silver Eagle, who was forced to watch his encampment destroyed. And he was eventually hung and dismembered.
He was an actual Indian?
Yes, this is from the Oglala Sioux in the Midwest. And there were many documentations of massacres happening by the U.S. government at that time. We don't know specifically which this one was, but it's just an interpretation of what was done.
Okay, let's segue over to this section here. This is a beautiful collection here.
Yes, well, before I got to this, I went to a very dark period because of that segment. But after I got through that dark period of some of these dark paintings, I started doing, and almost like it was my therapy. So I started doing all these angelic pieces that my therapy was working. And these are images that are very light and airy and free. And to me, it was very much a healing from my experience of doing the massacre and going through my dark period, a little bit of depression. And going through that, I began doing these what I call very beautiful angelic works. And they also did very well in New York. They're all gone, they're all sold. And what's in the show are just bits and pieces. In other words, I've done probably 50 of these type of paintings, even though there's only a few here.
Wow.
And before I did that, I did some very dark work.
Okay. This one with the skeletons and skulls?
Yes. I was angry, what man could do to man, and all the Holocaust that we've had throughout the universe, throughout the centuries. And
is there a title for this piece?
this piece is called, yes, there is.
Take a look at it here.
It's called Infernal Assembly.
Okay. From 1995.
Yeah,
Okay.
1995.
Well, let's.
And then this piece triggered off a whole different feeling that when I hit these in New York, and by the way, all these are they're owned by collectors. A gentleman from whose parents were involved in the Holocaust was in front of this piece crying, and I didn't know why, and we had a conversation. And Schindler's List had just come out, that movie, so it brought up a lot of that turmoil, and to him it represented the evil.
And this one is Draconian Emergence. Okay, so now we're over to these figurative pieces here, and you said these are also photographic combined?
It's part of the photo pinture process that I was doing. I had all these photographs from my models and different places that I traveled, and then I didn't want to throw them out, so I decided to put them into, and incorporate them into the canvases. So they're all, there's a photograph in every one of them, and then I paint on the photograph, I scratch it, which is very visible here. I go into it, scrape, do whatever I feel like, the creativity process that, when you're creatives, not that you're thinking about it, you just do it, and it happens. And then I continue the composition out and paint into it and paint out of it, and to create, I use some solvents to bring up some of the photograph and the paper, peel it off, and try to be as creative as I could with that whole photography.
I'm noticing one in particular that's particularly attractive to me, this piece here.
This almost looks like a Dali.
Yeah, I thought that too, yeah.
The model was nude, and he was on the floor, and I'm on the ladder above him, taking the photograph. And I like to use dramatic light and dark, like chiaroscuro thing that we're talking about. And then I painted the fabric on him and away from him to cover all the, to make it much more pleasing, much more dramatic. Then I was recently in Rome, so I brought in some of the images of the forum.
The columns there.
Yeah. And then also, like that one, the museum owns that piece there.
It's part of the Roberson collection?
Roberson owns two of my collections from this period.
Nice. And these are commission pieces, is that?
These are commission pieces. I do commission pieces. I've been working with some, like for example, this is NBT Bank, owns these pieces. They wanted an abstraction. This kind of hard edge work that I was doing for a short period of time. They loved it, but they wanted images of Binghamton in it, of some images of Binghamton in it. So I did that. United Health Services owns quite a few of my work. I'm going to say 15 to 20 pieces. I don't even know. And at the time this show was coming together, I was also working on a 40-foot wall at the hospital, the new Wilson Tower Hospital that was installed a year and a half ago. So I'm doing two things at the same time, getting ready for this and working for that. So they've been a great, I don't know what the word is, but they've been purchasing a lot from local artists, which is great. And also, the Binghamton Public Library owns my work, and Security Mutual owns my work. So I have a lot of pieces in some big companies, which is nice.
We're not going to do the whole show, but this will give you a good overview of the exhibit and maybe encourage you people to come in to see this wonderful exhibit. It's up till when? April?
It comes down April. No, it's up until April 12th.
Okay.
Of 2026.
So we got a few months ahead of us here now, and it's really an exhibit that you should take in. It's displayed in a wonderful museum here in downtown Binghamton, beautifully presented and curated, and Orazio certainly deserves this. It's a wonderful tribute to his whole career. So I wholeheartedly endorse it, and two thumbs way up for Roz, as he's called by friends here locally. And anything else you want to say?
Well, if they do come to the show, there's a video that's continuously playing that shows my process of the oil wax and the tar. And there are some pieces available for sale too. So
Okay.
not that that's important, but it Okay.
Yeah, it's always good to, always good to have a.
Right,
a sound.
that's what keeps us going, right, as artists.
Okay.
But if you do come, take your time and read all the little posts around the different periods of, kind of explains a little bit where I was and what I was doing at that time.
And I'm also going to have an essay, a review of the show that'll explain more in depth. I interviewed Orazio yesterday, and so the two will be connected. You'll get to see the written review plus this video, and then come in to see the show. So thank you so much for your attention. Cheers.